Hello everyone and welcome back to Hitting the Field on Hitting the Field Network. As always, we've got a great show for you today. First, we'll be talking NFL and going in depth not only on some of the games we saw yesterday, but specific plays in those matchups. Then we'll move to NBA and hypothesize about what exactly is going wrong for the Lakers, besides LeBron being out, of course, and go over what we've seen from certain teams so far. Finally, I'll give you my thoughts on UCF sports teams so far this season. I'm your host, Hannah Jo Groves. Today is Monday, November 14th, 2022, and Hitting the Field starts right now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Welcome back. Guys, we are in week 10 of NFL football and the Eagles are still undefeated, but we'll see tonight if that continues against the Commanders. But as for yesterday, we saw the game of the year and we want to get into specific matchups and some of the decisive plays. With me to do that today are Ty Patton and Ray Collado. So Ray, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling really good. Going into this week, I figured this would be one of the best matchups going in for Sunday, but I honestly couldn't predict it'd be the game of the year. I knew it was going to be a good game, but to go down the way it did was amazing. And as a football fan, the moments you live for.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ty, how'd you feel?
I am feeling fantastic. The Bucks are 500 once again, and I could not be happier. Oh, yeah.
Well, good for you. Guys, I want to jump right into this. We have so much to talk about. Like I said, the game of the year, Minnesota Vikings versus the Buffalo Bills went into overtime. Truly exhilarating. So, Ray, can you take us through the ins and outs of this game real quick?
Yeah, actually, let's pull up the reel for us real quick.
Go ahead.
All right. So with just 2 minutes left in regulation, Kirk Cousins and company looks to mount a game-winning drive. And who comes to the rescue other than the gritty master himself, Justin Jefferson, with the greatest catch in his career, possibly his life. How he came down with that, we may never know. Even with the defender having 2 hands on the ball, you can see in a minute here, it was amazing. It was a bad throw by Cousins in retrospect when you see that, but with all great catches, it usually stimulates from a bad throw. And then you see right there, the good catch right there. But then just a couple plays later, Jefferson again comes to the rescue with the apparent go-ahead touchdown. But as you can see right there on playback, it would later be reviewed and overturned because he's clearly down at the 1 yard line-ish. Right there is perfect. You can see a clear example. He's not in the 1 yard line. They get stuffed in the end zone, but in the very first play, every team's worst nightmare, they fumble in the end zone and give the Vikings the game, as what any player would think. That's the game right there. They give them the game right there, basically. And I still can't believe that happened. You can see it right there. They rule it a touchdown. But then right there, they score and get a field goal. But unfortunately for the Bills fans, Patrick Peterson gets his second interception on the day, sealing the game in heartbreaking fashion.
And it was heartbreaking for the Bills for sure, but I got to admit, I was kind of happy for the Vikings. I think they deserved the game. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
I feel like the Bills, I like the Bills. I like both of these teams, but the Vikings with that catch, and then actually, can I share with you guys, that one Gabe Davis catch wasn't a catch.
Oh, yeah, no.
I was going to get into that, yeah.
I actually had the great pleasure of meeting Gabe Davis, and I shook his hand and I said, Gabe, I'm Hannah Jo. Good luck in your career. And I think that being constituted as a catch and then kind of just going along with that, I think that was him cashing in on my good luck. I think that's what that moment was.
It's definitely what it was.
Yes, Hannah Jo,
so anyway,
that's
exactly it's all
what
about me.
happened.
That's what I'm trying to say. Everything comes back to me. Ty, I just want to ask you the strategy here. What broke down on this bad fumble for Josh Allen in the end zone?
It was just a terrible center quarterback exchange. That's merely all it was. I like the play call. I really do. Josh Allen led the Bills in rushing yards for this game, so you got to think a big body quarterback like him can just power through for a yard maybe. Give it to Devin Singletary, maybe James Cook, get a few yards. But I like the call. It's that quarterback center exchange.
Yeah, like you said.
It just was not there.
I'd call that play 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
you could call the best play call in the world, but it comes down to execution. You could have a $1,000 play call with a $1 execution. And right there, the Bills have nothing but themselves to blame there. Because not only did he not get the yardage or come back to the line of scrimmage, he fumbled the ball. So there's obviously some quarterback center exchange that needs to be addressed.
Well, another quarterback sneak that I was a little confused by was why would they try to get Kirk Cousins to do that? He's not a big guy. He doesn't seem to run these in practice a ton. What was the strategy behind that?
Well, so CJ Ham is a great fullback. And I think their whole idea was, let's let Kirk run as hard and fast as he can right up the center's alley, and let's have CJ Ham come in and just shove him. Like, that was literally the game plan there. Given that Dalvin Cook had an insane game, posted over 100 yards, like, you'd think maybe CJ Ham leading the way for Dalvin Cook might have been a better way to go. The Josh Allen handoff, I would do 10 out of 10 times. That Kirk Cousins one, I would maybe call 2 out of 10. I don't think it was the right call there.
2 out of 10. The quarterback sneak, like, historically has been one of the most safest play calls you could do. On the 1 yard line is basically who wants it more, who's tougher at the situation. And if I'm the Vikings, I would take that play call all the time.
Yes.
Then again, they could have had the touchdown early if it wasn't for that drop. So it shouldn't have even come to that.
That's very true, but Captain Kirk is getting off his boat in a wheelchair at this point. So, I mean, Dalvin Cook is so good. I think with CJ Ham leading the way, that's just the right way to go. I don't think you can really miss there. And I mean, worst comes to worst, Dalvin Cook dives over everybody, somehow doesn't make it in, and you're down even closer to the goal line. But I mean, everything happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Vikings still ended up on top. So
But hindsight's 20/20. Because
Exactly.
I bet you this, if they made that play, they got the touchdown, everyone's like, oh yeah, that was the right play to call, the best play to call. But of course, it didn't work, and everyone's looking back. Should they have really done the quarterback sneak? I'm still on board with the play call. If I were them, I would have called the quarterback sneak, and there's nothing to blame with that. They still won the game, even though they probably shouldn't have.
No.
Honestly, after that, but still.
There were so many moments where they were like, oh, that's the end. That's it. That's done. And that happened, I think, 4 or 5 times. But so we talk about Kirk Cousins, maybe not big enough for a quarterback sneak, still called it. He connected with Justin Jefferson. Tell me about this guy's talent and how much it was on display yesterday.
Dude's the best receiver in the league right now. He's
now.
23, and he's second in receiving yards, only behind Tyreek. But it could be argued that Tyreek has Waddle to help him out, so maybe that's why he's maybe a bit above him. You got something to say to that?
cough, Tyreek Hill is the better receiver.
He's 20. If you had to pick right now which receiver you'd pick Tyreek Hill over
Over who?
over Justin Jefferson?
Over who?
Over the Gritty King himself.
Tyreek Hill already has over 1,000 yards this year.
We're
In
not
10
we're not
games.
far
He has
behind
over
him.
100 yards
I
per
gotta
game.
say, Tyreek does not have a catch that looks like that, though.
Okay, yes.
Tyreek Hill's thing it's all speed.
That's the point.
Yeah, but
His run after catch is unmatched. Nobody else has run after catch like
got
him.
about like 2 or 3 more
Nobody else
seasons
has
of
run
that
after
speed.
catch. And you know who the only other person that might have run after catch like Tyreek Hill is? Jalen Waddle, and they play on the same team.
Exactly,
Ranked
which
first
helps to my
and
argument.
4th as the top receivers in the league.
Which helps
Okay,
my argument.
boys, before we go on to our next game here, Ty, can you tell me about the route that Patrick figured out to sweep in and get that interception for the last play of the game?
I think it was just a horrible read by Josh Allen.
Okay.
I think it was. You have enough time on the clock where you can run it through, just dump off some short passes, get a little bit closer to the goal line before you take your, little fade shot on the wide out to Stephon Diggs. I just think he tried to force something that he shouldn't have forced. And there was I believe it was Isaiah McKenzie who was open about 3 yards down the field, maybe pick up a yard or 2 run after catch, but it was not 4th down. I don't even think it was 3rd down on that play. It's just, I just think it was forced. I just think it was a bad play, and Patrick Peterson simply just read his eyes.
How much was it fatigue from Josh Allen, do you think?
Fatigue. He was running the ball all day Sunday. So I would say it was fatigue. But then at the end of the day, overtime, you gotta dig deep to do this. If you're the MVP, everyone's saying he's the MVP front runner. I'm not sure too much after this. With a QBR of 69. But what's it called? I'm not saying he's not MVP, but I say it's due to fatigue with all the running he's been doing, all the hits. He wasn't even trying to slide. He was bumping. Which is something you love to see from your quarterback. But then again, not too much, because if he gets hit, he's out of the game, and then where are the Bills at now?
Well, I think the fact that he's such a big guy is what has saved them thus far, and they've been able to use them as a weapon. Well, let's move on, guys. Another close game we saw yesterday was the Lions versus the Bears. And Ty, can you tell us the ins and outs of this one?
I can. So, down 7 in the second, Fields rolls out. He picks up 34.2 yards on the ground on a 1-yard carry. That is the most by a quarterback on a 1-yard rushing touchdown since Blake Bortles in 2016. Wow. Absolutely wild. And then you move forward a little bit. We're in the third, middle of the third. Fields rolls right, ends up dumping it off high to Cole Kmet, who caught both of his 2 passing touchdowns that game. It was absolutely insane. And this is one of his best plays of the game. Fields takes it, runs right up the middle, weaves in and out of defenders, takes it all the way for a 67-yard rushing touchdown. Absolutely insane. And then a horribly devastating end to the game. Fields ends up dancing around the pocket, extending a play for 13 seconds, just trying to find somebody downfield. And he ends up getting taken down by linebacker Julian Aquara for his 2nd sack of the game. It was devastating. Fields has, I don't want to cut anybody off if we're talking, but the past 4 games, the Bears have averaged 31 points per game. And all of it is coming from Justin Fields, almost all of it. Maybe 1 rushing touchdown there from Khalil Herbert or David Montgomery.
Let me tell you firsthand, he is the best fantasy quarterback to have.
Oh, yeah.
I have him for both my leagues, and he's won me both. He's really progressing me forward, which is great. But offensively, he's really the strongest part of what they've got. I want to move to the other side of the ball here because I thought their defense looked weak, maybe comparatively. How did they struggle to stop Jared Goff?
Jared Goff, people like to slander Jared Goff a lot, but he's a good quarterback. I like to say I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan, but when you play with the Lions have never been like a good team, so to speak, since Barry Sanders, and before my time. So Jared Goff, he dotted them up pretty decently, but I have to say the Bears defense has been atrocious.
Oh, yeah.
And what's his name? Fields has been amazing this season.
Yeah.
He's played good enough to win games. It's just a matter of the team needs to build around him at this point. So they're in the building stages. They're not going to be a playoff team for a couple of years now. So it's all about building around Justin Fields because he's your future of this franchise.
Yeah.
If you're a Bears fan, if you're a Bears fan, I'm sorry, but if you're a Bears fan, then just hope your team's smart enough to build around Fields and work towards the future. Because right now you're not going to be winning games.
Other team here, Ty, rookie Aiden Hutchinson, super helpful for the Lions defense. Can you talk about him, what he did with this game?
So Aiden Hutchinson, just this game alone, posted 8 solo tackles and a sack, which Aiden Hutchinson throughout the year has been monstrous for that front, right? But I was just talking about Julian Aquara posting 2 sacks on the day. Him and Aiden Hutchinson across the edge have, I don't want to say lethal because the Lions did allow the most points out of any team in the NFL, but they have been very, very good as a duo in the league. And as a rookie, he's just very, very impressive, to say the least.
He's been fun to watch. Well, guys, we are running out of time, so let's go now to another game that went to overtime, the Packers versus the Cowboys. So it was a scoreless first quarter, but in the second, we saw something from someone who's been comparatively quiet, you could say, this season. A 3-yard touchdown pass from Prescott to CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys are the first to get on the board, but soon after that, we saw Aaron Rodgers finally look like himself again, throwing to Christian Watson for a 58-yard touchdown to tie up the game. Then the Packers were able to get another as Aaron Jones rushed up the middle for a 12-yard TD, going out to make it the side. Celebratory leap into the end zone. The Cowboys refused to let the Packers have the upper hand in the halftime. Prescott got a short pass to Dalton Schultz, and it was 14-14 at half. The third quarter was Cowboys dominant, with Tony Pollard running 13 yards right up the gut and finding his way to 6 more points. And then who again does Dak look for? The deep threat, CeeDee Lamb, for a 35-yard touchdown as he stretched his arm out to cross the plane and showed the world he is still here. But another receiver with something to prove made the next 2 for Green Bay as Rodgers threw a 39-yard touchdown to Christian Watson, who evaded the 2 defenders, jumped around the end zone, and then made the famous Lambeau leap. And soon after, he caught another from Rodgers for a 7-yard touchdown, and he was feeling great, especially, guys, considering early this season, he had a drop that really should have been a touchdown. And for a rookie, that morale is just way down after that. But after that, we were tied again when the clock hit zeros. After both teams had possession, it was the kicker, Mason Crosby, who won the game for the Packers with a 28-yard field goal. Just like that, guys, Packers are done with their 5-game losing streak. So it's an understatement to say that Aaron Rodgers needed this. What is his mindset right now, do you think? I
think Aaron Rodgers, he's been there, done that guy. He's one of the older quarterbacks in the league, but a lot of people have been giving him flack over the comments he's been making, him calling out his receivers. It's looking like he's made a new best friend and your boy Watson over there.
Yep.
But I think his mindset going into this is just another game, daily office. You can't get too high in this. It hurts me to say as a Giants fan that the Cowboys are pretty good this season, but their defense has been top-notch.
Yeah.
So this is a good, solid win, but you can't let this be the end-all, be-all. You have to use this to propel yourself towards the next week.
Final thoughts on this game?
Just about Christian Watson, honestly. He's the next big body receiver that Green Bay's been looking for, the very Devontae Adams type. I think he just needs some time to develop, but I think he really showed in this game why he is that next top-tier receiver
I
in
was
Green
just
Bay.
thinking he needs a Devontae Adams replacement, and
Oh, yeah.
that might be it. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have to talk football. On our final show 2 weeks from now, I'm sure we'll touch on it again and maybe even give some potential Super Bowl picks. When we come back, we'll move to basketball and talk about some of the disappointing teams and players we've seen so far this season. Stay with us.
Welcome to HTF Hot Takes. I'm Johnny Jackson. We've got Emily Aaron to my right and Maluka Costa to my left.
Hello and welcome to our segment of Hot Ones. I'm here with Noah Kemper and Grant
Wheeler.
Yep, I knew that. Grant Wheeler.
Listen, I'm a Bulls fan, but I just can't ever argue against LeBron. I watched him my whole life.
I've been going back and forth with this debate for a long time. It's got to be Michael Jordan.
Whatever she wanted. I would wake up in a maid costume for Doja Cat.
Brutal.
Jeffrey Laux, no question.
Richie, I would give it to Richie.
It is not Richie. It is not Richie.
No, it's Jeff.
Richie's pronouns are he, they, because he cannot be him.
What?
Oh, where's that?
I'm gonna have to also agree and say Jeff. He always is spiffy.
It might be Cameron. Cameron's had some good fits.
Out of the women, Norelli always dresses really, really cute.
Brother. That went so awful.
It's basketball.
College football, I think, is the best sport to watch.
If you don't like soccer, it's because you suck at it.
I think college football is the best.
Thanks for watching.
And we're back. The NBA season has really gotten underway, and teams are starting to get in the swing of things. But early, high expectations for certain teams have kind of fallen short, while others have really risen to the occasion. To talk about some of these disappointments and some of these bright spots, we've got friend of the show, Grant Wheeler, and Vlog King, Andrew Montana. Andrew, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm just hoping not to tear someone's head off today.
I'm kind of
Feel
hoping you
something.
will tear someone's head off today.
Really?
Grant, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling recharged. Had a good weekend.
Good.
My teams won this weekend. Celtics and the Colts took care of business.
Jeff Saturday.
Jeff Sunday now.
There we go. Okay, well, let's get right into it, guys. I've got these guys picking pretenders and contenders. And I just want to get right into it because, wow, do they disagree. So, Grant, tell us first about your contenders.
So my contender is the Portland Trail Blazers. They're first in the West right now. They are 9-4. A lot of people going into this season did not have them competing at this high of a level so far. Jeremy Grant, Damian Lillard are kind of carrying the load for the Trailblazers so far this season, both averaging 20-plus a game. And so is Anthony Simons as well. So they have three players averaging 20 or more. Let's see if that can continue, though, for an 82-game season.
Okay, response to that.
Do you really believe that an injury-prone point guard such as Damian Lillard, I understand how good he is. Do not
know
get
how
me
good he
wrong.
is, yeah.
He is amazing. But do you think that two young people like Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, who, by the way, this is their first year together, so they're still kind of learning the chemistry and all that, I would say arguably led by Anthony Simons because he has been on the team for longer, do you think they can compete in the playoffs?
If they're healthy, yes.
If they're all healthy.
If they're all healthy, yeah, because the chemistry's already there right now. They're 9-4. They're playing with a lot of energy on the court right now. It's just, as you said, health with Damian Lillard. If he can stay healthy, then yeah, the Trailblazers should contend come April and May.
I'm just gonna ask because I don't know, so I don't want to like jump the gun. Do the Blazers have a solid front court?
They have Nurkic in the front court. who's
Okay.
Finally,
He's
healthy
he's
again,
really
'cause
good.
He was
is
dealing
really
with a lot
good.
of injuries. He's averaging 13-11 right now for them this season. So, no, they have a good team. I like Chauncey Billups. I like what he's doing as the head coach. I think he's also a great addition for them. So I think Portland right now is in a very good spot. I really do.
Yeah, I mean they're taking advantage of the young guys, but I just don't know if they have the experience exactly to make it all the
That's a good
way
point.
to the point of being a contender, especially with. I mean, the West isn't as.
It's strong. It's still a very
It's strong, but not
conference.
as much as it was last year, and not as much as the East is
And
this year.
Dame has been to a Western Conference final.
Yeah,
So that's something.
but that was
right
with a
there.
completely different squad.
It was
pretty much.
But you still have Damian Lillard though, so you have that to back off of.
Okay, let's move now to your pretender.
My pretender is the Utah Jazz. I think that's also Grant's. So I mean, common ground finally.
Finally.
I mean, they're having a great start to the season. Lauri Markkanen has had a great beginning, but once again, I don't think they have the experience or maybe even the chemistry to take it all the way. I mean, you have like their only experienced player as of now is Mike Conley, and he's getting 30 minutes per game off the bench.
He's getting older too.
Yeah, his knees were like friends with dinosaurs. Like he's not the best veteran to have on your team, especially when it comes to playoff time. But I don't think it's like Conley's fault for any reason. It's just I think the team is too young right now to contend.
And plus the departure of Quinn Snyder as well. They weren't supposed to be that good of a team this year, Utah. That's what I'm saying. That's why they're a surprising team. That's why they're my pretender. I mean, they're 10-5. I mean, 15 games, but
surprising for sure. Surprising for sure.
But
I
can't
just
expect them to continue this throughout the entire season.
Exactly.
I expect teams in the West like the Pelicans and the Warriors to start getting some steam going here and catching up to them.
For sure.
Definitely. Well, can you guys tell me, though, a little bit about what you're seeing from Justin Clarkson? I feel like he's slowly improving.
Jordan Clarkson?
Oh, sorry. Yes,
You're
Jordan
good.
Clarkson.
You're good.
That's what I meant. Yes.
So he has been putting up some solid stats throughout the season, but unfortunately I don't know. I'm just not seeing the same fire out of him this season as per compared to last season.
He's also making sure like Lauri Markkin is getting more of the load now because I think he's averaging 21 a game for them right now. So he's taking
Lauri?
Lauri,
yeah.
He's taking much of the work for them right now. So maybe as the season goes on, that can change with Sexton and Clarkson.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, since you two guys agreed on that part, let's hear about your contenders.
My contenders are none other than the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have been, Jeff, they've been outstanding for the start of the season. They are on a bit of a losing streak, which is unfortunate, but I think the addition of Donovan Mitchell makes their offense nothing short of lethal. On top of their interior defense is incredible. Once Mobley is back to normal, he's going to be just terrorizing other offenses. Him and Jared Allen. I know I've said it multiple times in the past, but their backcourt defense is my biggest concern. But other than that, I think they are just such an elite team. They're super electric, and they're really young. I think there's a big difference between this Cleveland team versus like Utah. They're both young, but I think they're well coached enough to the point where they can contend. And Donovan Mitchell does have some playoff experience, but
the Cavs are just way deeper though. They're way more talented.
Yeah,
as you said.
And Mitchell has just been going off this season.
They're a balanced team. They have a great front court with Mobley and Jared Allen, and their backcourt again Mitchell, Garland. It's a very complete team.
Well,
so one good thing in Ohio.
How has Isaac Okoro maybe surprised you specifically on offense?
Yeah, it's actually definitely a surprise for sure because there's so many weapons on that team. You wouldn't think he would get enough touches to even be that productive offensively.
Right. What have you thought about Okoro?
I haven't thought much of him, honestly. Like he's just been there for me. I mean, nothing too good, nothing too bad.
Okay, so not really surprising. Okay, well then how about Darius Garland?
Darius Garland.
Career best 51 points last night against the Timberwolves.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough, but
Unfortunately.
It was super impressive. I don't think of him as a scorer anyway. He is much more of a playmaker to me. And to see him drop 50 on the Timberwolves was not only satisfying, but just surprising in and of itself.
That's why they're such a dangerous team. They have two guys that can put up like 40 plus or 50 plus on any given night, and that's Mitchell and Garland. So, and again, with their front court as well, they're one of the top 3 teams in the East, and it wouldn't surprise me if they get to the conference finals this year. It would not surprise me at all.
Just so we can have a little bit of more headbutting, tell me about maybe like an extra pretender that you have. Maybe
I have one for my friend Andrew Montana right here. The Los Angeles Lakers. So everyone going into the season was hyping them up. Darvin Ham as the head coach, thinking this is going to be a revitalizing.
No one was hyping us up. Let me get something straight.
Plenty of them were hyping
Lakers
them up.
fans, sure. I was not one of them. Let me just say, we had a garbage season last year. Everyone knows that. It's objective. But nothing happened this offseason. I mean, we picked up Ham, but his coaching methods don't seem to be translating into anything. It's like even seen in the preseason, nothing changed since last year.
I feel like all you guys did this offseason was just add more guards. You have way too many guards on this team. There's not enough forwards. Again, outside of Anthony Davis, there's not much size on that roster.
And Anthony Davis is not really doing
Data Davis, bro. And to consider us a pretender, I think is a compliment because we were never in contention whatsoever.
I think as long as LeBron James is on a roster, they're automatically going to think that team is going to be a contender.
I mean, it's hard to bet against LeBron, but he is getting at a.
Oh, he's getting old.
He's getting old. He's not putting up, like even last year, he was putting up great numbers. at an old age, but he's not
that's
doing
the problem with
this
the Lakers this year. They're relying on him too much. He can't be the guy like that anymore. He can still be very productive, but he can't be carrying the load like he was like in his Cleveland days and his Miami days.
Well, he and Tom Brady kind of saw some success last year,
They did.
being old, not so much this year. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for NBA. Grant and Andrew, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom and thoughts with us. When we come back, I'll tell you what I'm thinking about being a UCF student with the great sports teams that we have on campus right now. We'll be right back. Now comes the rant part of our show, and today I'm overwhelmed with happiness and thankfulness. And that's not just because Thanksgiving is coming up or because this is my second to last show. It's because all of the sports teams at my school are killing it. The stat that former host of this show and friend that I shout out way too much, Alex Funderburk, gave me was that 2019 was the last year that all sports were above 500. And at that point, UCF had been doing that for 4 or 5 years in a row. Alex said we were the only school to do that at that point. Then 2020 and all that came with it happened, but now we are back. Now I'm going to go over just a few of our sports here and punctuate each the way that Gus Malzahn might. So let's start with soccer. I've already told you how much I love our women's team. They're 7-1 in conference play, advanced in PKs in their tournament yesterday, and they have elegant, strong, and wonderful women such as Kristen Scott. Boom. Volleyball? You don't even want to get me started. I've started sideline reporting for them too, and they are a marvel. They're 22-1, and McKenna Mel Kill is on a rampage with no end in sight. Boom. And now basketball just started. First, the men. We already proved we're one of the best teams in Florida by beating Florida State 68-54, and they're supposed to be a basketball school now. Bye-bye, Darren Green Jr. Hope you're having fun. Boom. And now the women starting off their season with a dominant victory over Winthrop, 72-32. That's 40 points, and they outscored the men. Boom. And now we go to football. We find out we're ranked 22, but that's not good enough for us. We conquer the number 17 Green Wave, and now we completely rule the conference, which is perfect for our last year before we go to the Big 12. Cincinnati, good try. Memphis, so sorry. USF, baby, you have no idea how much our last meeting is gonna hurt. Boom. And that's not even it. We signed a ton of new commits on signing day last week, including 4 top 500 recruits. In my humble opinion, there's never been a better time to be a Knight, and I'm so glad I get to be one, at least for the next few weeks. That's our show for today. Next week, be sure to tune in for our trivia show. The week after that will be my last as your host. Thanks for watching, and on behalf of myself and all of us here at HTFN, have a great week. Peace.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in.